It's looking like the days of visa and border runs in Thailand are on the way out. Just 2 days ago, we got some major updates to how these entries will be monitored and enforced. There is a ton of speculation out there, so in this video, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna see if you're planning a trip to Thailand soon, or maybe you're already here, if these things are gonna pertain to you. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. If you spend any time on the internet, especially if you're on any Thailand social media, I'm sure you have seen over the past couple days that the interwebs are aflame with all types of speculation, people freaking out, people wondering if they should freak out, and a whole bunch of people, on both sides of the spectrum saying these updates are a good thing. Other people don't agree with that. Getting to the absolute bottom of these things when it comes to Thailand immigration can be a bit of a grind sometimes to figure out what the black and white changes are, how things are going to actually work in practice. So I've spent all day, all morning. It is now 4 p.m. I've been at this since 10 a.m., reading over everything I can. So by this point, I believe I got a pretty good grasp on what this means and what we can expect moving forward. So let's get into it. So to really understand these changes, I think we need to dive in a bit to what this is an attempt to curb. There's a few things that immigration has had in the works over the past 6 months or so in an attempt to deal with some problems. A big one is people being in the country working illegally. The main changes we're going to talk about today have to do with the tourist visas and the visa-exempt program. You may or may not know that back in the day, visa runs used to be a thing. People would come in on a tourist visa, extend it once that's up, they would fly somewhere or they would run over the border to Cambodia, come right back and get a new visa. And essentially what that meant is there's quite a few people that were staying here, pretty much year round and didn't have the proper visas. Understandably, their deduction from this was, hey, if people are staying here this long, they're under 50, they're probably still working, which means they are working in the country illegally. And another main reason for these changes is in an attempt to curb security risks or people that are breaking the law, people that are coming here opening businesses when they shouldn't be. The way immigration seems to be looking at it is hey, if you're not willing to sign up and get the proper visa and go through, that whole process and get checked out, suffice to say that there might be a reason you don't want to be on one of those long-term visas. So those are the main two reasons that I've deducted that for the main brunt of why these changes are happening. So what exactly is changing? Well, on November 12th, 2025, that was just a couple days ago, the Immigration Bureau announced that a nationwide offensive specifically targeting visa-exempt entries used by those staying long-term or engaging in illegal businesses or work. Anyone entering multiple times without a valid reason may be refused. We will, of course, get into some more details about what they are considering, too many times or how many times it's gonna, get the microscope put on you. The operation lists 4 key enforcement measures, which we will get into a little bit more. And on top of these new enforcements, there's also talk about rolling back the 60-day visa exempt and taking it back to 30 days, which is what it used to be. Now, there is a little bit, there's a few things different depending on where you're from, but there are also some talks right now on rolling that back to 30 days. That is still up in the air, but that's something that we also need to keep an eye out for. So how would this new enforcement actually work? This is what's very important for you to know if you are planning on coming on a tourist visa. Now, from what I understand, if you are a legitimate tourist, you probably really don't have anything to worry about. Say you might come to Thailand 3 times a year, you stay for a month or 2, and then you're going back home in between, that you'll probably be okay. Don't quote me on that. It really, as always, depends up to the immigration officer, but it's not hard for them to spot somebody who's kind of manipulating this system. Now, the new enforcements will include immigration will flag repeat entries if you've entered under visa exempt status more than twice in a calendar year without a clear reason. You may be refused entry. The TDAC system, that's the digital arrival card that we were talking about, will provide the data arrival purpose, accommodation, prior travel history. So those days of kind of just being able to show up and hope that, nobody's really thumbing through your whole passport, they're pretty much gone now. As far as extensions go, for visa exempt stays, you can extend 30 days, making it a total of up to 90 days, but that is discretionary. That is one thing I feel like is very important to understand now. I've seen so many people talking about, oh, well, I did this and I didn't do anything wrong, and they're refusing me entry or they didn't give me my extension. Guys, the way that immigration works in pretty much any country, as well as Thailand, is if they decide they don't like the looks of your paperwork, or even if they really decide they don't like the looks of you, or everything's a little bit shady, there's no rule that requires them to accept your extension or accept you into the country. Coming to Thailand as a visitor is not a right, it's a privilege. And if they decide that you're taking advantage of that privilege, they absolutely have the right to refuse you entry. And we've also read that there will be tighter checks on your occupation or what you're exactly doing in Thailand. They're going to dive into this a little bit more. If you're coming to Thailand on this exempt program multiple times a year and they can essentially prove that you work online or something like that, it does not matter if you're on a tourist visa. Even if you're working for your company back in America, you're not technically allowed to be working while you are in the country. And additionally, they will also be putting a spotlight on all the land and sea entries into the country. If you've spent any time here, you'll know that tons of people, you hop on a van, you go to Cambodia, you walk across, you come back, that gets you a new visa. Immigration understands this, and that's a big place where they're going to be, putting it under the spotlight, making sure that this does not happen. Another thing that I've seen pop up quite a few times, but I wasn't able to find it anywhere, even in news articles or on the immigration website, had to do with extensions. Now remember, under this new regulation, you can come in on visa exempt 2 times in a calendar year. And from what I've read or what people have said, granted, take this with a grain of salt, I wasn't able to find it, but any direct word from immigration, but they said that first time you can extend for 30 days, and then the second time the extension goes down to 15 or 7 days. Granted, I wasn't able to find that anywhere in black and white, but it has been shared around quite a bit. So that's also something else to keep an eye out for. So the way it's looking, we have been saying it for literally years at this point on this channel. The days of the visa runs are at an end, especially with this brand new regulation coming in where they're putting it in black and white. Hey, you cannot do this anymore. There's no wiggle room. Before, the way it worked is, as long as you were going out, you weren't overstaying, you were coming back in. It wasn't technically against the rules, but there was no rule saying that you were allowed to do it. It was kind of a gray area. So it used to kind of depend on where you went and who you talked to. But now with this being steadfast, I would not try to play this system. If you're going to be here long term, it's to the point now where you have to get a long-term visa. Now, if you're a traveler or a digital nomad and you want to stay in Thailand for some bigger chunks of time, from everything that we've read and everything that we've seen from immigration directly, you can still do this. I wouldn't advise working while you're in the country, but it is still possible for you to come here for extended, staycations, but you can't be doing that year round. It kind of used to be if you weren't over 50 and you couldn't get that retirement visa, minus you having a kid here or getting married, there wasn't a lot of options for everybody else, or unless you were a complete baller and you could spend $100,000 on the elite visa. By the way, subscribe, like the channel. Maybe we do enough of that, maybe I can get an elite visa myself. Now with the DTV, they've also opened up the LTR, the long-term resident, a little bit. So there are other avenues you can take. And another thing you should absolutely do to make sure you are all legit and good to go for your Thailand trip is, of course, subscribe here. If there are any more visa updates, I will be sure to let you guys know. And if you do have any questions, like I said, I've been reading about this all day. Any questions about anything we didn't mention in the video, please feel free to drop them down in the comments below. But if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for hanging out. Hopefully we cured some of your anxiety about whether you're going to be legit or not, or we've completely freaked you out and now you have to come up with a new plan. Either way, win-win. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.